You should subscribe to the Monaresclub. Because the Prince of All Saiyans told you to, idiot. Bye.
What's good, guys? This is James bringing you another tier list meta discussion for you guys here at the Monaresclub, youtube.com. Before I get into the video, start sharing my thoughts on why I put some of the leaders where I did, I'd like to ask you guys to please subscribe to the channel if you're new. You want to see some more metagame discussion, deck lists, deck profiles, gameplay, commentated gameplay, pack openings, all that kind of stuff. We post that kind of stuff here all the time, multiple times a week. So if that stuff interests you and you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and do that for us. It really helps us out. Let's just get right into the video here. So I'm recording this a couple of weeks after we got set 13 here in the States. We haven't had it for super long just because there's a lot of product delays and stuff, so we haven't had a lot of time for us lowly Americans to mess around with the set. But it did shake up the meta a little bit, not a ton, but most of the top dogs here is going to kind of look similar to the old tier list, but I'll go over my thoughts on why I put everything where I did. Start with Dark Broly here. The top three are just kind of obvious. These guys haven't gone anywhere. Dark Broly, Mecha, and King Piccolo are just kind of the big three of the format right now. They're here to stay until something can really outclass them. They're the big three. They have been for a while, and nothing from Set 13's really pushed them out yet. My one speculative pick from Set 13 is King Vegeta. From my testing, he seemed very strong. He also took down a Pro Play Tour event, an IRL event, about a week ago, and he got first place, I believe. And he's been putting up results since Set 13 has dropped. So I think he's strong. It's speculative for me to put him in Tier 1. We'll have to see if he can hold that spot. But for now, I'm gonna keep him up there. You're probably not going to see a whole lot of him unless your locals has very good access to like TP promos and things, because he does need a lot of tournament pack promos, which will restrict a lot of people's access to the specific deck, or at least the most optimal version of it. Going down to Tier 2, I have Baby down here in Tier 2. He's probably the best blue deck at the moment still, but I still think he's not like a Tier 1 level deck even for blue. I think blue and green are still struggling quite a bit in the metagame. Baby has some very good applications versus like specifically Dark Broly, but he can do okay against the other two. But he's mostly a very good counter pick for Dark Broly because of his early access to Trunks' heroic prospect. Soul Striker's been doing well. Soul Striker might even, if he can get some more results, I might even be thinking about bumping him up here. But until we can start seeing some more results from him, we'll have to leave him down in Tier 2 with these other guys. He's done okay with both the Janemba build and also the Gohan build, using the Gohan engine from Set 13. And I think that engine is very strong. I'll have to talk about that when we get to the leader itself, but I think that engine's good, and Soul Striker's just solid. Invoker, I've moved down from Tier 1. He hasn't been getting as many placements. I think it's mostly there's just a very small community focused on Invoker, and the people who play it are very good at it at this point in the game. I think the deck is still very strong. I just moved it down because I don't think you're going to see it a whole lot, is my main thing. It's just the good pilots are few and far between, but the good pilots will absolutely wreck you with this deck. Bulma she continues to show up. People innovate on her all the time. She's incredibly generic. I've seen so many different ways people have built her and just taken down their own respective tournaments with her. So she's solid. Launch I bumped down from Tier 1 mostly just because of the addition of King Vegeta, and it felt like it would be kind of awkward to have like 3 red decks up here. But she's still incredibly strong. She's very popular in the meta. She still has access to a lot of the good tools that Red has access to, like Violent Rays. She draws incredibly well. Launch is here to stay too. She's very good no matter what version you're playing, red, green, or tricolor or blue, red. Very good. Broly, I still think is strong. You could argue he's probably more of a rogue tier at this point, but I don't know. He can still blitz people. I think he's still kind of scary, so I have him up here in Tier 2. I could see an argument for him to be down here in rogue though, for sure. Sin Shenron is an oddball just because you see so many different versions of the deck. You have like the mid-range and control version. You also have the blitzy aggro version, and then the people who are good know how to kind of fade between all those different plans. The aggro version is very scary, especially in best of one formats, but it's also very reliant on seeing its secret rare Celzino. So I think it's a little hit or miss. I don't think the deck is quite at the level of these guys. It's strong for sure. I just don't think it's quite as consistent or as hard to deal with as these guys up here. King Cold is one of the new kids on the block. My wife loves this deck. I think it's very good. Obviously, I have it up here in tier 2. I've seen some people advocating for it to be a tier 1 deck. I haven't seen it converting any results so far, or at least not a ton. But I have hope for him. I think he's very strong. He's very solid, very dependable, and he has a lot of different ways he can be. Well, not like a ton of different ways he can be built. He has a lot of tech slots he can play with, though, for various metagames. Gotenks just continues to chug along. Everyone always seems to have written this guy off, but I still think he's fine. I still think he's good. And he still puts up results. He still gets some pop cuts, even now. So I think this guy's underrated. He's just a little boring, but he's solid. Same with Modern Vegeta is just an aggro powerhouse. Best of 1, this guy's probably like tier 1, honestly, but I'm kind of splitting the difference between best of 1 and best of 3 on this list. This guy will kill you just as fast as Reboot Gohan used to, so he's very good, especially with the innovation with the Toa Ultimate deck, Majin Buu, to help you get the Lord Slug into play, give you a little bit more of a mid-range pivot on that deck as well. Vegex is definitely the second best black deck. I think that Dark Broly is better than it because it just does more powerful things more consistently. Just putting 30Ks into play that interrupt the opponent's play, very strong. And it does it very consistently too. Vegex is also extremely strong. It's a lot more explosive. It can just mow your opponent's life points down, but also it's a little inconsistent. It lives or dies by the top of its deck. It's still incredibly good though. All right, going down to Rogue, we have some new additions here. Bojack, I think, is very strong. He's kind of hard to play, but I think he's solid. Gohan, I think, is really good. I wasn't sure how to feel about this, and then I played against him a few times, and he's very good. His hand size is obscene. He just draws so many cards. His boss monster is great. His front side, you get to have like a Sensu Bean and a card draw at the same time. It's great. Android 16, I think, is solid. He's not super easy to play, and he's not super popular, I don't think, but I think he's fine. The way he plays is fine. He just struggles in blue mirrors. Trunks is good. There are some dedicated pilots. He's also starting to become easier to afford now between the Heroic Prospect reprints, as well as just a lot of his TP promos are starting to fall down. Zamasu's still Zamasu. He's solid. Cooler will get you, 6 ways to Sunday, depending on what deck you're playing. I think this guy's underrated. I think he definitely has tier 2 capabilities. We just need to see more people playing him. But I definitely think he could be up here, and he could definitely usurp Broly from his tier 2 slot right here. Bardock, haven't seen a whole lot from him yet. I've seen some this red-green version top with him, and I think it's solid. I think it's kind of the same deal as Launch. And I just think it's not quite as good as Launch, because Launch is just so consistent and so good at just teching so many different cards and keeping up a big hand size, and she's so strong in the combo step, right? So I think Launch is just a little bit better than him in the aggro department, but his theme's strong too. All the Red Saiyans from the set are very good. I think this is a very fine pick if you are interested in playing Bardock's crew. Golden Frieza is strong. I don't see a whole lot of people playing him, but he keeps getting more tools, and he keeps, just doing. He's a good pick. He's a good deck. He's from set 1, and he's, getting for 2 free energy every turn is nothing to sneeze at, especially staple do card draw too. I think Joey's build of blue, yellow, skillless Gohan still a solid pick for sure. Jiren is super good. He's super tanky. He's going to do incredibly well against anything trying to blitz you quickly, and that'll run out of resources, like the Sin aggro decks and all these other blitzy kinds of decks. Majin Vegeta too. He's a very good counter pick for a lot of metagames, and he's just good. Cell is just this is not for the Cell archetype. Obviously, it's for the Cell aggro hand control kind of aggro-y deck with the Frieza chain, and I think that's solid. Turtles is good. He's just an aggro deck. He's kind of he's not even all that much of an aggro deck. He beats down really well, but he feels more like a tempo deck where you end up using your energy more efficiently than your opponent does, and that's how you end up winning a lot of your games. And he's very strong. His TP is also a very big boost for him. We'll have to see where he ends up once more of those tournament packs become available. Tien's probably the de facto best, green, good stuff, mid-range leader at this point. because King Cold and Gotenks are both archetypes focused, and then the other Turtles and Majin Vegeta are basically just aggro decks. But I think Tien's fine. Gogeta's Xeno is going to be limited in his capacity again by access to tournament packs. Like, a lot of this list is, I think a lot of these decks we would see a lot more often if the promos were more easily available, but it is what it is. We'll just have to figure that out. Mechikabra, he hasn't done anything so far yet in the format as time of me recording this video, but I think he's good in testing. He's been incredibly solid. He's not always super easy to play. You have to be able to get those aggro matchups down to a pin, but just like old Wish leaders, he's able to do that with some practice and some tight play, and he can turn the game around on anybody. And then the rest of this is just, I call this the viable tier. They're viable. I don't see anything wrong with these decks. I'll just talk about kind of the newer decks I have on here. Nappa, I think, is fine. He's just he's a little bit more like a slower version of Launch. You just play him red-green with. He's still focused on King Piccolo, and he's fine. A lot of these green decks are hurting a lot more now. These rogue or green decks, especially like Super Saiyan Goku, and Frieza Pod. These two got hit a lot by the Roshi nerf, and I could definitely see them kind of falling off of here, but I still have hope for them. I think they're still fine. Supreme Kai of Time is solid. She's going to take a little bit of time to find the correct build with, because she's so very fluid, and you can just kind of include any black support you want, but having Fu, the Dark Banisher that lives in play forever, is nothing to sneeze at. I think she's fine. She just struggles against blue. Gohan has... I've seen some people playing him as kind of like a Mecha Frieza Light kind of thing, where you just play the Gohan chain instead of like normal like Universe 9 Assemble stuff. I think it's just significantly worse than Mecha Frieza, but if you like Future Gohan and you like those cards, then you could definitely try him out. Goku Jr., the lineage stuff's fine. It would have been probably too good if the Hope of Universe 7 had stuck around, but if you want to play Goku's lineage, this guy's definitely revamped the archetype, breathed some new life into it, and we'll have to see how the anniversary box treats that archetype coming up. But I think that's pretty much everything else that's come out since set 13. The androids they're not very good. I did a profile for them on the channel. They're a fun deck, but they're not going to be destroying the meta anytime soon. The blue decks from set 13 have been fine. The red decks have been very good. I think Bardock is a little underrated for sure. King Cold's very strong. Shield is very not strong, but I mean, that's kind of what we expected. Mechikabra is solid, and Supreme Kai Time is also solid, if a little bit worse. So, yeah, thanks for checking out our tier list, guys. A little bit of a shorter one here, because, I mean, the set 13 really hasn't shaken the meta up a whole lot, but I'll have another one of these probably toward the end of the format, so you can stay tuned for that. We'll see where the format ends up. Maybe I'm wildly wrong. This is just like my opinion, man, on a lot of these archetypes. And if your favorite deck isn't on here and you think it's really strong, I'm not trying to say it's not viable or anything like that. These are just like kind of my immediate thoughts that come to mind of decks that you could bring to a rather competitive locals and probably do well with, and then everything above that is probably what you'd see at a more of a refined tournament setting, now that we have a whole lot of those going on right now. So, yeah, thanks for checking us out, guys. Make sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button again if you're new. It really helps us out if you could do that for us, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.